constitutional, say aye.
Aye.
Everyone here, are you aware that Brandon Wood is the attorney that is going to present the appellate court hearing ruling to the City Council? If you are, raise your hand. If you're not, I'm telling you for the first time. How many of you here are aware of the oath of office that you take when you swear into office? Raise your hand. Okay. I don't have a copy of it with me right now, but we have a gentleman here, Jim Bullish, from the Oath Keeper. Jim, can you please come up? We have, ladies and gentlemen, about 25 minutes before they go back into session that we can talk for a minute. One of the items that I wanted to do was organize and set the tone for the legal reasoning that we managed to bring this. We can talk about the fact that they're unreasonable, we don't like them for a lot of reasons. One of the issues that I'm going to bring up tonight is the fact that when you're making a lot of decisions at a high speed, you do not need to be slamming on your brakes because you're worried about a fine or a penalty as well as the decision-making factor. It's a lot like landing an airplane. But this gentleman is from the Oath Keeper, and what I need to pull out of this is a presentation to the council to understand that this is not ceremony that we stand on when we take an oath for office. How many people here are prior military? Raise your hand. When you took that oath to defend and protect the Constitution, it came before everything else. And that is one of the premises, the undergird of which we bring that issue up. And Jim is going to take that piece of the pie and reinstill that level of understanding that this is the body that makes that decision above all else, and immediately upon becoming aware that there is a constitutional infringement. Brandon Wood is then going to address the actual appellate court decision that ruled them unconstitutional. Now, there's an issue that you need to be aware of, and that is that the Orange County Appellate Court is not the end all in the decision-making here. We have our own appellate court, but our appellate court has not had an appeal follow through. And when that attempt has been made, that judge, that commissioner, threw out the case, and therefore I was not ruled guilty. My case was dismissed. If my case is dismissed, we have no appeal to file. If you call me guilty, I have a right to appeal. I cannot get to the appeal until you call me guilty. If you never call me guilty, we will never get to the appellate court. Understand what's happening? Okay. This is what you call in Ireland a shenanigan. Okay? Remember, you gotta have a certain sense of humor about this stuff. It's a reality. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's painful. But never forget, this is a baseball game. We're all on the same team. We only need to bring the rule of law to the front, and we should win with reasonable character. In presenting the fact that the oath is a requirement and an obligation above everything else, when the law has presented itself, whether or not your appellate court has adopted it or not, you have, as council people, the right, the reason, and the obligation to take it upon yourself to end the infringement upon the constitutional issue. And they can do it. And they can set the trend. And so could Sheriff Hoops. If Sheriff Hoops said he wasn't going to send deputies anymore because he didn't have the budget, well, that kind of cut the court off at the knees in another direction. But this issue has come before the council. And we had Ryan McCaffrey come and speak to it. He was not in favor of the red light cameras when he was on stage at the Cocky Bull. And consequently, Angela Bias gets elected. She was not in favor of the red light camera. She's lived up to her obligation as an elected official. She brought it forward. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that's going to come up tonight are some of the people that we have support for tonight. We have support from Assemblyman Donnelly in a letter that we will present tonight. We have support from Brad Metzelfeld, your county supervisor. We're going to read that letter tonight. You have a letter from Councilman Bill Holland, who the Tea Party got elected in Spirit. So, inch by inch, we lost this country in a 40-year period. You will not take it back in the day. You will take it 1 foot at a time. It's just like a football game. So, you are in the bleachers tonight, and the issue is we don't have letters from everybody, but we have statements. We have statements from Smitty Smith, Councilman Aspiria, Russ Blewett from Aspiria, and from Assemblyman Knight of California. So both Assemblymen have represented themselves in this area. Knight, we will make those statements in the microphone as we are authorized to do. We are not speaking for anybody out of turn. And with that having been said, this is one of the small tests that you will take along the way. You manage to turn the Congress of the United States. The Senate may be soon to follow. You have a couple of years to organize, and you'll get there. But what you're doing tonight is probably the most important thing, because there needs to be an understanding at a level of government that says we're no longer going to be pilot plants. We are active participants. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Do I have any questions? How many people submitted a card to speak? How many people submitted a card and agreed to allow Brandon Wood to speak for you on the appellate court? Okay, and this is just item number 6 on the agenda. I'm going to find out from the clerk how we're going to be allowed to speak. Will we speak on item number 1 in public comment, or will we be held over to item number 6 so that the Sheriff's Department can make a PowerPoint presentation, and then they'll either open comment either before or after Brandon Wood is slated to speak at approximately that time. And we will either let item number 1 go by because we're told by the clerk that we're allowed to speak on item number 6. We're going to reopen public comment. Now, in reopening public comment for item number 6, which is the red light camera, my question to you is this. Of the people who are going to give their time to Brandon Wood to present the appellate court hearing decision, how many people are going to speak anyway? Raise your hand. Only a few. This is going to make it very painless for a great number of people in this room, including their staff who has to stay here, because we could take a whole night until midnight just getting through 3-minute comment cards. So thank you very much for giving that time to Brandon. I am going to speak. I am going to set the tone. I'm going to try to use a couple of analogies, one of which is that decision-making process that you have to make. Clint Hare, where are you? He's outside in front. Okay. He's going to read one of the letters tonight. I'm going to read one of the letters. We have a retired public defender that may read one of the letters. And we want to make an impression upon the fact that this is a very large groundswell. It's not going to go away. Please do the reasonable thing. The objection that this would take taxpayers' money to remove those cameras was something that we agreed that we would. I agreed. I took points to the Tea Party that we would not hold any elected official responsible for the use of funds to remove the cameras to the tune of, I've heard numbers from 145,000 to 200,000. The reaction that I got from other elected officials was, wait a minute, Bill, this is not taxpayers' money as you would normally see it. These funds that have already been taken from the red light camera could very well fund the removal of those cameras. Is that reasonable to say? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There you have it. My right and honorable council members.
Freedom!
Oh, that's my right and honorable council members.
Freedom!
For those of you who have not been to a Tea Party meeting, we have a rule of order in the Tea Party, and it says that if you think you hear political double talk, what do you say? If you think you hear political double talk, is there a hissing? There's a hissing. If you don't agree with something that somebody says, you say, if you agree with what they say.
Hear, hear, hear. Hear, hear.
So if you think you hear political double talk, if you think you hear political double talk, your reaction is, there you go. If I happen to mention someone who's not exactly in the most favored status, or if I happen to hear a comment that I absolutely do not agree with, I can say boo, correct? So if I hear something that is absolutely objectionable, what do we say? Boo! Okay. If someone were to say, you know, I think we need to revisit this issue, you would say, here, 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 here. Well, I think I'm going to revisit this issue. Here, here. Okay. we don't want to disrupt the meeting. My right and honorable friend, Jim Fox, if you don't know it, when I was on the city council, this man taught me how to fill potholes. And we got a military background, and I tried to explain to Ryan McCackman that this is a lot like a slow rotation baseball game. Everybody gets a day up to bat. If you strike out, you go to right field, you work your way back up again. If you stay on base, then you stay in the batter's box for as long as you can. That's just slow rotation. So I don't want you to forget to have a sense of humor about it. I do want you to understand that the level of impact that the smallest infringement makes upon the Constitution makes everything else not matter. And we don't want this to be a situation where people think that we don't care about even the smallest things. We do. If we can take that ground so that we can go ahead and address the issue specifically and in order. So if you look at the agenda that you have now, when item number 6 comes up, we'll go ahead and address the issue at that time. Brandon Wood is here. It looks like it'll be Clint, myself, Willis from the Oath Keepers, and Brandon. That should keep it down to 4 of us on the public hearing with regard to the public commentary on item number 6, so that when they close public comment, what happens is the council then goes into their own conversation in front of us in the public to make decisions upon what it is that they want to do or how they want to proceed or what they want investigated or explained, and then they have the benefit of their own city attorney to give them advice as they make commentary and move through this issue. I don't know how it's couched for council. It's only a presentation from the Sheriff's Department, and the agenda doesn't say that they're calling it out as an action item. But I would anticipate that the call would be to create that environment where the public elected officials are comfortable in placing their vote because the will of the people has been expressed in one way or another, or the law has been explained in such a fashion that they are able to make that move and possibly change their minds about where we are at today. All in favor, say aye. Aye. How many people are in favor of Brandon Wood taking your time? Aye. Brandon, come on in. We've got about 5 minutes until the bell rings. I want to introduce you to Brandon Wood. You probably recognize him from the Tea Party. There are a couple of issues that Brandon is going to speak on tonight, and in the course of that outline, maybe bring to light some things that the council doesn't know about or wasn't aware of. Someone else has already done the heavy lifting for us. They have given us an appellate court decision. And moreover, the people that tried to use that ruling or change that ran into another bump in the road, and Brandon will explain that so that you can all understand it, but it was to our favor, absolutely. Again, all in favor of Brandon taking your time, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You're going to take that over? I just turned it over. Ladies and gentlemen, do I have any questions? Yes, ma'am. You don't have an agenda? They're in the front line. Are they out? Does anyone have an agenda that they can share with this lady right here? Nobody? How many people have an agenda? Please raise your hands. How many people do not have an agenda? Uh-oh. Okay, I was going to say that. Put it on the screen. Do you guys want to see item number 6 on the agenda? Yes. Okay. How many people want copies of the agenda? All right. Do you want the whole agenda, or do you want item number 6, that page? Whole agenda. Okay, that's all. Any other questions?